Put that screwdriver back in. The room went silent. It was 3:20 p.m. on May 21st, 1946, inside Laboratory Room 400 and 1 at Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory, New Mexico. Approximately 35.8800 degree N, 106.303 1 degree W7 men stood around a table. At the center of that table was a 6.2 kilogram sphere of plutonium gallium alloy, about the size of a grapefruit. It didn't glow. It didn't hum. It didn't look like death. But everyone in the room knew what it was capable of. It had already been assembled once before into a weapon meant for Japan. Now, it was being tested again. Physicist Dr. Louis Alexander Slotin held 2 hemispheres of beryllium around the plutonium core. The hemispheres were neutron reflectors. When closed completely, they would push the core into supercriticality. All that prevented total closure was the tip of a flathead screwdriver in Slotin's hand. The screwdriver slipped. For less than 2 seconds, the hemispheres clamped shut. The room exploded in blue light. A wave of heat struck the observers. Slotin felt a metallic taste in his mouth. He knew immediately. He had just received a lethal dose of radiation. The object on that table would later be known by a name whispered in nuclear laboratories for decades: the Demon Core. This story doesn't begin in 1946. It begins with the Manhattan Project. On December 2nd, 1942, under the stands of Stagg Field at the University of Chicago, Enrico Fermi achieved the first controlled nuclear chain reaction. Coordinates, approximately 41.7914 degree N, 87.6005 degree W. From that moment forward, the race to weaponize atomic fission accelerated. By 1945, Los Alamos had produced multiple plutonium cores for atomic bombs. One was used in the Trinity test on July 16, 1945. Coordinates, 33.677 degree N, 106.475 degree W. Another was dropped on Nagasaki on August 9, 1945. The third core, the one sitting on Slotin's table, was originally intended for a third bomb to be used against Japan in late August 1945. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945. The war ended, but the core remained. Instead of being detonated over a city, it was repurposed for experiments. Its official designation was simply a plutonium pit. Unofficially, after 2 fatal accidents, it earned its nickname. The first accident occurred on August 21, 1945. Harry K. Daghlian Jr., a 24-year-old physicist, was working alone late at night at Los Alamos. He was conducting a criticality experiment, slowly stacking tungsten carbide bricks around the plutonium core to measure neutron reflection. At approximately 9:55 p.m., Daghlian accidentally dropped a brick onto the assembly. The core went supercritical. A flash of blue light filled the room. Daghlian instinctively knocked the brick away, stopping the reaction, but he had absorbed a massive dose of radiation, estimated at approximately 510 rem. He died 25 days later, on September 15, 1945. His hands blistered. His white blood cell count collapsed. He deteriorated slowly in the Los Alamos hospital. It was the first criticality accident in history. And it wasn't enough to stop the experiments. 9 months later, Louis Slotin would repeat history. Slotin was not reckless in the traditional sense. He was experienced. He had assembled the plutonium core used in the Trinity test. But the method he used, manually holding the reflectors apart with a screwdriver, violated safety protocols. It was called tickling the dragon's tail, a phrase that sounds like folklore, but it was literal. He was bringing the core to the edge of criticality and pulling it back, over and over. On May 21st, 1946, the screwdriver slipped. Witnesses later described a blue flash, Cherenkov radiation in the air. Slotin quickly lifted the upper hemisphere with his bare hands, stopping the reaction. He saved the others. But he condemned himself. He estimated he had received over 1,000 rem, a lethal dose. Within minutes, he began vomiting. Within hours, he developed severe abdominal pain. His skin reddened. Doctors documented his deterioration in meticulous detail. Slotin died 9 days later on May 30th, 1946. He was 35 years old. Of the 7 observers in the room, several suffered long-term health complications. Alvin C. Graves, standing closest to Slotin, absorbed an estimated 390 rem. He survived, but later died in 1965 at age 55 from a heart attack widely believed to be radiation-related. The Demon Core had claimed 2 lives, and it never detonated over a city. The psychological climate at Los Alamos in 1945 and 1946 is crucial to understand. The war had ended, but the Cold War was beginning. On August 29, 1949, the Soviet Union would test its first atomic bomb. American physicists knew they were in a race. Criticality experiments were conducted to refine bomb designs and understand neutron behavior. The urgency was immense. Safety culture was not yet fully developed. There were no remote manipulators in these early tests, no robotic arms, just hands, screwdrivers, and confidence. The Demon Core was eventually melted down and recycled into other nuclear weapons. It never saw combat, but its legacy became institutional. After Slotin's death, Los Alamos implemented strict safety protocols for criticality experiments. Remote-controlled devices replaced manual manipulation. Radiation badges became mandatory. The Atomic Energy Commission, formed in 1947, tightened oversight. But the damage was done. The phrase Demon Core was not official. It was born from whispered acknowledgement. 2 accidents, 2 young physicists, 2 flashes of blue light. The dark truth is not that the core was cursed. It was physics. When enough fissile material is brought together with sufficient neutron reflection, a chain reaction occurs. In milliseconds. The horror lies in how casually it was approached. Imagine the room. Concrete walls. Chalkboards covered in equations. The faint metallic scent of machinery. 7 men leaning over a grapefruit-sized sphere that could release energy equivalent to thousands of tons of TNT. And 1 screwdriver between control and catastrophe. The American public knew almost nothing about these accidents at the time. The details were largely classified under Manhattan Project secrecy. Declassified reports later revealed the sequence of events. But in 1946, nuclear research operated behind a veil. The same culture that produced Hiroshima and Nagasaki produced the Demon Core accidents. Brilliance intertwined with hubris. The climax is not the flash. It's the moment Slotin realized what he had done. Witnesses said he calmly instructed others to mark their positions in the room to calculate radiation exposure. He knew the math. He knew the dose. He knew he was already dead. 2 seconds. That's all it took. The aftermath reshaped nuclear safety protocols worldwide. Criticality safety became a formal discipline. Training films were produced. Manual handling of supercritical assemblies was banned, but the memory lingered. Los Alamos remains active today. Coordinates unchanged. The buildings modernized. The labs secured. But beneath the layers of security clearance and concrete, the lesson remains carved into institutional memory. Physics does not forgive mistakes. The Demon Core is no longer intact. Its atoms are dispersed, recycled into weapons that were never used. But its story survives in declassified documents and internal safety briefings. Harry Daghlian died alone in a lab at night. Louis Slotin died in a hospital bed after saving his colleagues. Neither intended to become a cautionary tale. They were scientists in a race against time. The United States had harnessed the atom. But in those early years, the atom reminded them who was truly in control. 2 seconds, a slip of metal, a flash of blue, and everything changed. The next time someone says nuclear power is safe in the right hands, remember what happened when those hands trembled.